What if the agony of waiting, the gnawing silence where you beg heaven for answers, is not abandonment, but the very forge where God reshapes your soul into something unbreakable? You ache for movement, for clarity, for the storm to break. But God's weight hangs heavy, a veil over your plans, and in the stillness, doubt hisses. Does he see you? Does he care? Yet beneath the surface of this sacred pause, he is unraveling the myths you've worshipped. The lie that speed equals significance, that control is safety, that your worth is tied to productivity, exposing the rot of impatience that would have poisoned your promised land, just as he forced Israel to wander, until a generation died clinging to Egypt's chains. Numbers 14, 26-30. That career opportunity you're obsessed with, the relationship you're white-knuckling into existence. The delay is a demolition. God bulldozing the fragile altars you've built to insecurity and approval, because he loves you too much to let you drink from cisterns that cannot hold water. Jeremiah 2:13. You think he's passive, distant, but his restraint is fierce protection. He withholds the good to give you the best, severing you from Saul's tragedy. A king who traded destiny for desperation, sacrificing wisdom on the altar of anxiety, 1 Samuel 13, 8-14. Because he knows your hunger isn't truly for the blessing, but for the blesser. Every no and not yet is a scalpel, cutting you free from futures that would have left you hollow, partnerships that mirrored Judas's betrayal, achievements that would have crowned you emperor of empty accolades, while he whispers, I am your portion. Psalm 73:26, rewiring your heart to crave presence over prizes. This waiting is no passive limbo. It's a collision course with your true self, a stripping down to the raw materials of faith, where God resurrects the childlike trust crushed under years of cynicism. Like Joseph, forgotten in a dungeon for years. Genesis 40:23, you're haunted by the fear that your pain has no purpose. But what if the darkness is a womb, incubating the resilience you'll need to steward the dream without destroying yourself? God isn't stalling. He's staging, synchronizing your healing with his grand narrative, ensuring that when the promise lands, it doesn't combust in your hands, like manna hoarded out of season. Exodus 16:19-20. That desperation to force doors open, it's Gethsemane sweat. Luke 22:44. A war between your will and surrender. But what if submission is the threshold where miracles begin, where your clenched fists uncurl to receive grace that pressure cannot mimic? The wilderness is where God starves your dependencies, starving Egypt's leaks from your palate. Numbers 11:5-6, until manna, once resented, becomes your only craving. His presence, your sole necessity. You're not being punished, you're being pruned. John 15:2, severed from the shallow roots of transactional faith, to sink deep into the bedrock of though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Job 13:15. Every unanswered prayer is a lifeline, saving you from becoming Pharaoh, hardened by haste, allergic to mystery, and sculpting you into Moses, who met God not in the promised land, but in the desert's scorched silence. Exodus 3:1-2. So let the weight unravel you. Let it expose the idols, the addictions, the fragile facades. Let it baptize you in the truth that his timing isn't a hurdle to your happiness, but the very architecture of it. The delay is your deliverance. Now rest. Let the waiting make you wilder, softer, fiercer. Let it teach you to be still. Psalm 46:10. until stillness becomes a weapon, until patience becomes your protest against hell's lies. What's coming will dwarf the pain of this pause, because what God builds in secret, he reveals in glory. And when the dam breaks, you'll finally see the wait wasn't the obstacle, it was the offering.